California dreaming about you.
Hey guys, SimCoder here, and before we begin, let me just say I'm sorry for not posting as much lately. This has been my finals month, and so because of that, I've been concentrating on college and everything that goes around it. But now I'm back, and so let's finish up our following system. And I'm going to link to my previous video right now, and the reason is because there in the beginning I explained the database organization, and so go there and watch it again if you want to really understand what we are going to do today. So, but basically we are going just to create a following child inside each and every single user, and then just placing everyone that the user follows inside that child. So yeah, let's begin. I'm going to open up our Snapchat clone Android Studio project, and now we already have all the recycler view that's going to contain all the users that we search for. So all that we have to do is to populate the recycler view. Okay, and so the first thing that we are going to do is set a click listener for the button, and anytime we click the button we are going to make a query to get the users that are likely to be the ones that the user wants to search for by the input that we have right here, which is an edit text. So yeah, let's get right ahead and just do it. So msearch dot set on click listener new on click listener, and now we are going just to call a function that we are going to create now, and we are going to call it listen for data. Click Alt Enter Enter, and it will create the function for you. So now we can start working on actually searching for the names that we want. So the way it works is, as I explained in the last lesson, if we type in, for example, let me just get the database here, and we have user 1, user 2, and user 3. We are going to search by email, and if the user types, for example, you, and then clicks search, the search button, both the user 2 and the user 3 will show up. But if the user types user 3, then only the user 3 can appear, and the user 1 won't appear because I'm going to assume this is us. So yeah, let's go get right into it and say database reference users db equals to Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference and dot child users. Okay, and now we are going to create something that's called a query. A query allows us to do exactly what I told you just now of searching by user 3 and so on, without us having to do anything. So it basically takes care of that in the server side, and we don't have to do string comparison and things like that. So it is really cool. Let me show you how it works. So we type query and query, let's call it that, say user db dot order by child email. So this is going to order it alphabetically, and it is going to order it in the email. So it is going to get all the childs inside users, which is in this case are these ones right here, and is going to order by this child right here, the emails of each and every single one of them. Okay, and then we are going to say to start at and input dot get text dot to string, and to end at input dot get text dot to string plus, and we are going to just throw in a slash uf8ff, just signify the end of a string, and can close that off. And what this is going to allow us to do is exactly what I told you. So it is going to search for the email of each and every single user in the user's child, and then only find the ones that start with the input text, which is the ones that we want to find, and then with the input text as well. So yeah, that's exactly what we wanted. That's exactly what we need. And so now to actually put this to work, all we have to do is to do a child event listener, and it will get all the childs that the database thinks are necessary to us according to these parameters right here. So instead of calling usersDB, we say query dot add child event listener, new child event listener, and now simply say string email equals to that, just to clear it up and make sure it is empty. String UID of the user that was sent to us through this listener. So in this case it will be snapshot, not this, data snapshot dot get ref dot get key, and this will give us the UID of each user that's returned to us. And then we say if data snapshot dot child email dot get value is different from null, which will be for sure because this query only has emails, but this is just a precaution thing and something that you should always do. Email equals to data snapshot dot child email dot get value dot to string, and close it off, and that's it. And now we are only all that's left is to actually add this user that we just got right here with the UID and the email. And if you can remember, that's all that we need to create a new object inside our recycler view. Is to all we have to do is to check if the user isn't us. So let's do it right now. If email is different from equals Firebase of, and now we are going to get our UID. So get instance, get current user, and get UID dot to string. And I don't believe you need to string. Let me just check. Yeah, to string is redundant, so I'm going to take it off. So if email is different, if this email that we got is different from our Firebase get instance, so from our UID, don't forget to put the exclamation point in here, then we can go ahead and create a new object of the type users object equals to new users object email comma UID, and this is going to create a new users object of this class. Okay, so email and UID. That's it. So now we are going to add to results add object, and if you can't remember the results, let me check where they are. Just add the semicolon right here. the results are our array list that will contain all of the users that are in the recycler view. So results.add objects, and then we tell our adapter that something has changed within the recycler view. So we notify dataset as changed, and that's it. We don't need to do anything else. The data will flow right into the database. But in here, there's something else that we must do, which is to clear the database. So anytime we clear the database, we click the search button, better yet, we must clear the database first. And the reason is because otherwise, if you click the search button, our code will be always adding more and more and more users of the same. So for example, if you have user 3, it would add as many user 3s as many times as you click the button. So because of that, we must clear the database anytime the search button is clicked on. So let's create the method, Alt, Enter, Enter again. I'm going to copy and bring it to the bottom. And I'm going to actually bring this to the... Yeah, it can stay on the bottom, okay. Because it isn't important, let's keep it there. So to clear a database, all you have to do is to say int size equals to this dot results dot size, and this dot results dot clear, and adapter, we are going to notify the adapter again, this time that we cleared everything up. So notify item range removed, 0, size, and that's it. So now everything should be working just fine, and we can go ahead and go inside our RecyclerView adapter. So in here we must go inside the onBindView folder, and we are going to start working on the button clicks, and this is where we are going to save to the database and remove from the database. So we'll have each and every single button that we have in each child of the recycler view. If the user clicks on it once, it will turn the text to following, and if the user clicks on it again, it will return to follow and remove the child from the database. So yeah, it is pretty straightforward. So yeah, let's just click create the holder dot and follow dot set on click listener, new on click listener, string user ID equals to Firebase. Yeah, so this will allow us to get our own UID. So get instance dot get current user dot get UID. Okay, and so now we can say, for example, and this is wrong, and we'll change it in a second, and I'll show you why, but just to show you why we need this thing that I'm talking about, I'm going to show you how you do it normally and then change it in the future. So let's say if holder dot mfollow dot get text equals to get text dot equals to follow. So I'm going to assume, and the holder must be final, so let's go right in top of here and say final. So I'm going to say if the button to follow says follow, then that means that we must that we must change to following, and that we want to follow that person. Okay, and so because of that, let's say Firebase database, and this goes to what I told you in the previous lesson of the database organization. Dot get reference dot child users dot child user ID dot child following dot child, and now we'll add the child, the email of the child of the user that we just clicked on. And to get that, we simply say user list. Let me check if I call it that. Yeah, but it is not capitalized. So user list, and this user list is the list of every user that we have in our recycler view. So get holder dot get layout position dot get UID. Okay, and this will get the UID by using the user's object of the position where we are in right now. So let's close that off. And before that, we must set this value to true, because that means that we want to follow the user. And so we are going to create this child right here in the database and set the value to true. That's all that this means. And now we can create else, and we are going to copy and paste. It's better to do this way. Copy and paste this line, but instead of setting value, we are going to remove the value. Okay, so I believe that's all. I'm going to run the code right now and show you what's the problem with doing it this way. Okay, so guys, it launched, and before I show you, let me just tell you some things that I changed. So the first of which is that I forgot to change the text. So when you click a button that says follow, it must change to following, and vice versa. Another thing is to change this get item count because it was returning 0, and it has to return this .userList.size. It is extremely important, otherwise it won't work, and you won't be able to load anything into the database, into the recycler view. One other thing, which is kind of a stupid mistake on my part, was that in here, when I said get current user, it must be get email and not get UID, obviously. It was something stupid on my part. So this get email will be the same in this database or in the authentication. It is one of the parameters that are saved in the authentication. So yeah, you can go ahead and get email through here. So yeah, now let me show you where lies the problem with approaching this like we did. So let's go into find users, and I made some changes to the layout just to make it a tiny bit better. You can go into my GitHub and get it. It is just copy and paste that. So you go into activity find users.xml and recycler view follower item.xml, and it looks a bit nicer. So one other thing that I've added is that in the get data set, it listens for data automatically. So that allows us to, in the beginning, load up every single user. So, but now if we restrain it, let's say user 3, let's search, it will clear and only get the user 3. So let's go into our database, and I'm going to load up side by side, and I'm going to follow. And as you can see, the user 3 UID appears in here in the user 1 child following, and we can unfollow. But the problem lies when we follow and we leave this page. When that happens, the state is not saved. And so when we return, the user free still is follow, but in here we already followed, so there's a problem there. And so the way I'm going to deal with this, I'm going just to close that up, I'm going to clear this, is by creating a new class called UserInformation, which will contain the users that we follow. So let's go right in here and create class. And that way, in the adapter, we'll be able to compare each and every single user to these user to the data that we get from this user information, and that way we know which ones we are following, and which ones we aren't. So yeah, let's open this up, and I'm going to try to go as fast as I can because this lesson is getting a tiny bit too long for my taste. So Firebase auth.moff, and we are going to set public. It is extremely important that you set it to public. Public static array list, and this list will contain every user that we follow, and it will automatically update, so it will remove users that we unfollow and it will add the users that we follow. List following equals to a new array list. And now we'll create a function called start fetching, which will call in the main activity the first time it is created, so that when the activity is created, this class can start fetching the data. So mauth equals to Firebase auth.getInstance. Actually, let me just think. We don't need this, I believe. No, we don't. This was just if we wanted to get the mauth from this, because you can gather all the information in a separate class, and instead of always fetching the UID or something like that, you can place it here and then fetch it from here. But I'm going to simplify things, and I'm going to remove that, and I'm only going to get the user following. Okay, I'm going to create this function, alt enter create method, and it will create it for you. Close that up. And now I'm going to create a database reference for the current user. So let's say user following db equals to Firebase database.getInstance.getReference.child users.child, and we'll need our UID here, so let's say Firebase auth.getInstance.getUID and .child following. Okay, and now we are just going to make an event listener right here. So add child, and it is important to be a child event listener because we will be removing and adding according to what the user does. So say if data snapshot dot exists, then we can say string UID equals to data snapshots dot get ref dot get key. Okay, and now we are going to add this to our array list that we created right here, but we are only going to add it if the UID is different from null and the list following dot doesn't contain this UID, so that we don't have duplicates. And in here it is supposed to be commercial I, okay. And that's it for this. No, that's not it. This is only the if. I was already skipping steps. So now we say list following that add this string, which is UID, this user, better yet. And now we must remove if the user unfollows someone. So I'm going to just copy this and going to onChild removed. And this method right here is really important and useful in these cases. So let's just say if UID different from null, then list following remove UID. Okay, so this gets the UID that was removed from the user's database following child, and we simply remove it. It is extremely simple. Okay, so now before we do anything else, I'm just going to say in here list following dot clear. Just make sure we don't fetch more times than necessary. And I'm going to start, close this up. I'm going to, oops, there's an error here. Where is it? Oh, semicolon at the end. Okay, and I'm going to call this class in the main activity. And the reason is because it is the first activity that's really created for the current user. So that's the best way, I believe. And I'm going to call it right at the top. So user information. User information listener. Let's call it that just to make it clearer. New user information. And now we simply say user information. User information listener. I'm going to just copy and paste that. Dot start fetching, and this will create the class and will call this function right here, which will start fetching the data that we want. So yeah, that's exactly what we needed. And now to apply this user information, we're going to our RC adapter. And in here, we'll just, first of all, decide if when the user clicks search, if all of those users, which one he's following and not, and changing the text of the button accordingly. So to do that, we simply say if user information dot list following, which is the thing that we just created, dot contains user list dot get holder dot get layout position, get layout position dot get UID, and keep close attention to the parentheses. So if it contains, that means that the user is following this current user that this onBindView holder is trying to put inside the recycler view. So that means that the user is following, and we can change the text to following, and I'm just going to copy and paste that in there. Else, that means that the user isn't following, and because of that, we can simply say follow. Okay, that's that. And now in the set on click listener, instead of having an if like this, I'm going to change to this right here. Just to, I believe it would work if you left it with the text, but this is the most correct way of doing things, in my opinion. So I'm going to leave it at that. Contains, yeah, that's exactly what we need. Okay, so I believe that's all. Let's just run the app, see if it works out, and if it corrected the error that we previously had. So yeah, let's do it. So let's go into the find users and pay close attention to our database. I'm going to follow user 3 and it follows. So up till here it is working fine, and I'm going to get out of this activity to see if it retains the following or not, which was our previous problem. And it does. So it is working just fine. We can follow the user 2 as well, and it appears right here, and we can unfollow them, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, this lesson was a bit long, but we managed to do a lot. We have a following system implemented, so now it is easy, and we can keep on working on our app fairly fast, and our progress will be a lot better from now on. So yeah, if you enjoyed this lesson, please do leave a like and subscribe. I hope to see you again tomorrow, and ciao!